If I can be serious for a minute. It's time for the 3 Count podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Chambers. With me, as always, the rated M15 plus superstar, Ben Hobden. Benny, welcome to the show.
What's that all about, Dylan?
What is it all about?
Hey, about.
Sorry.
How are you, mate?
I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
We've got a very Canadian theme today. We've got a great show. We're going to take you through Elimination Chamber in Montreal. We're going to look at what's making news. And, with the Chamber being in Canada, we're going to kind of honor that with our draft this week. And we're going to draft the best Canadian wrestlers of all time.
You mean the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be wrestlers of all time?
I know you're all waiting with bated breath to see who Benny takes with his number one pick.
Yes, we wonder who.
Wonder who. Now, follow us on the 3 Count Pod on Twitter and Facebook, at 3 Count Podcast on Instagram. Have your say about any of our drafts. God knows, Gary.
Hey, Gary. Shout out to Gary. I'm a big fan of yours, Gary.
Gary had a little pot shot at me on Instagram. Fair enough. But look, you get the lowdown on all the drafts when all the new episodes drop. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, hit that follow button. Let's get to some of the news, Benny. Now, I think the kind of biggest news going, there's not too much around the dirt sheets.
A couple of things, but not much.
A few little things. For me, I think Jay White being a free agent. This is the kind of big news. He lost his loser leaves New Japan match to Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Eddie Kingston. But anyway, so he's a free agent.
Yeah, look, that was my first big thing. It's in real big writing with a couple of question marks after it. I was going to say to you, what's going to happen? Where's he go? So the thing is, you got to look at it two ways. If he goes to WWE, he's not going to be in the title shot straight away at all. But you don't want him to be jobbing at all straight away as well. Like it's really tough with WWE because there's not that many titles. There's not much they can do with them. AJ's on the shelf, but I mean, they could bring him in to fight AJ. That'd be pretty good, I reckon. Former Bullet Club members and stuff like that. And I just think there'd be some fun there. AEW, there's plenty of people in AEW. He's got a bit of a rapport there, but I just don't know where he's going to go. But I just can't wait. I can't wait to see him.
Certainly not Impact.
No, it's going to be somewhere big.
I don't think that'll make a splash. I mean, for me, he could be, say, I don't know, SmackDown Seth Rollins.
Yeah, nice.
That kind of spot for him.
Well, here's the thing for you. Think about if they just, debut him somewhere in WWE, how many of the WWE fans are going to know who he is when it happens?
That's true, but I guess the same was kind of for AJ Styles when he came from TNA. So they've got to find a way to debut him.
I think you got to do vignettes. You got to do vignettes to get that little feel going. You know what I mean?
Okay. Back to old school.
Yeah, a little bit of Switchblade action. I don't know is he still allowed to use Switchblade? He owns that.
I'm sure he probably. I don't think New Japan owns the gimmicks like WWE does.
So I think that's how you'd have to do it to build it up. So people start jumping on the internet, having a look. You'll get a few people out there, keyboard warriors, will be saying, "Who's this?" And then the rest of us will be like, "Holy, yeah, bring it on."
I feel like if we don't see him at the end of Revolution, then he's going to WWE.
Yeah, well, I'd prefer him in WWE, but I know.
Or does it scream Raw after WrestleMania debut?
Ooh, maybe. That's not bad.
All
Where
right.
is it this year? I don't even know where that is this year.
WrestleMania?
No, the Raw. Oh, I suppose it's going to be in LA.
It'll be in LA as well. Yeah.
So
we will see.
Interesting.
Tama Tonga, another guy looking at making a move. He's mentioned that WWE has been interested, so that could be a good pickup.
There's bloodline there.
There you go.
Hey, you never know.
I don't know. That's Tonga versus Samoa.
Yeah, nice.
Now, in saying those two names, our friend Dave Meltzer.
Oh, yes. Hey, Dave.
Yeah. So as we say, take everything Meltzer says with a grain of salt. But rumors that WWE are pursuing a much bigger free agent than White or Tama Tonga.
Yeah. Who, I read this and I was like, who?
There's only 3 I can think of.
Who, your boy Matt Cardona?
Not Matt Cardona. CM Punk.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, who's getting close to coming off contract.
I did read something the other day that was chasing Kenny.
Or FTR. I don't know if he's bigger than White.
Bigger, yeah.
I know they've had a lot of championships, but those are the 3 that kind of comes to mind. It could all be BS.
Yeah, it could be. No, Dave wouldn't give us BS.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure WWE after many free agents, whether they get them or not, is another thing.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Now, Mercedes Moné, she has won the New Japan Women's Championship at Battle in the Valley over Kairi Sane. So congratulations to Mercedes. How long till we see her in AEW?
Probably at least another couple of months.
Now, we had on AEW today, Tony Khan had a big announcement to make. I think we're all a little bit disappointed when we heard it. His announcement was that AEW is starting a new show, AEW All Access, where they'll, kind of go behind the scenes and hear the stories from the wrestlers. I think a lot of people were hoping there was going to be an announcement for another Forbidden Door.
That'd be good.
Which would have been a Mercedes Moné special, but apparently not.
Nah.
Speaking of former WWE Women's Champions, Trish Stratus showed up to Raw this week, was supposed to be on the show, but a creative change meant she wasn't used in the Becky Lynch leader spot. What do you make of it, Benny?
Well, you got to think it would work perfectly. Like Bailey's going to be there when they're going for the tag titles. So they're going to need somebody else to nullify her, maybe holding it back for a couple of weeks. We're still 40 days away from Mania.
Now, here's the dirt that I'm hearing. So Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, almost set to be going for the Women's Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. So where does that leave everyone else if Trish is involved? Rumors are Trish wants to do a heel turn.
Ooh.
Next week, with the Women's Tag Championships on the line, she could cost Lynch and Lita that shot. Team up with Bailey. We've got a tag team match for Mania with Trish across from Lita.
Okay, so you got Bailey and Trish versus Lita and
Becky Lynch.
The man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that would be more interesting than like Lita and Trish for the tag titles. No offense to Damage Control, but I think that'd be more fun. Anyway, we will find out next week. We digress. Mark Briscoe, officially All Elite. That's great stuff for Mark Briscoe. And Sonia Deville is engaged, her longtime girlfriend. So congratulations to Sonia.
Congrats.
Do you have anything else, Benny?
No, mate. I was just gonna mention that the WWE 2K3 lineup is stacked, absolutely stacked. So I can't wait for that. That should be fun. I just hope the gameplay is a bit better than what we've had in the past, but it should be fun. There's so many names on there, and you could I scrolled for 4 days almost for the pages. And then the other thing that's been announced is the 20-man battle royal on the 20th of March at MSG to find out who will fight Gunther in the IC for the IC title. So there's some big names. Just rattle them off: Drew, Sheamus, Lashley, Ray, Finn, Miz, Bronson, The New Day, Priest, Dominic, Karrion Kross, Boog, Strowman, Ricochet, Corbin, Omos, Loomis. So it should be an interesting 20-man battle royal.
Wow.
And it's only a live event as well at MSG. So
they love doing those, don't they? Putting something on the line at the live events MSG. Well, that'll be very interesting. I kind of thought we were going to maybe get Gunther and Lesnar, but
on that, I suppose we could talk about that quickly. Omos, really?
That's not happening.
Well, originally I heard that it wasn't going to happen. It was just all talk, but the more you read about it, the more it sounds like it's going to be what happens.
Really? Yeah. So that'll be an exciting Mania match. I'm thinking they go with the triple threat. I think because Wyatt challenged whoever won out of Lashley and Lesnar. Obviously, we'll get to it, but Lashley won in interesting circumstances.
Yeah.
But I mean, more box office for me is Lashley, Lesnar, and Wyatt.
Yeah. Well, with the finish, which we'll get to, you'd think we'll just talk about that when we get there.
Okay, we'll get to it. We'll get into the card now. We'll start things off. The women's elimination chamber match. We had Liv and Natalya. They were the first two entrants, followed by Rodriguez, then Cross, then Carmella, then Asuka. Carmella tried to hide in one of the pods until Rodriguez drove Nikki through the plexiglass, which looked like a pretty cool spot. That ended up eliminating Cross. Liv was the next to go, and her elimination was pretty cool. She passed out after she was in the sharpshooter and Asuka lock at the same time.
They made her look strong there.
They did. As for Natalia, not so strong. She went out after a Carmella super kick. Rodriguez soon followed after a series of kicks and a double pin from Asuka and Carmella. And then it was pretty much a lock to who was going to win. Asuka locking in Carmella in the Asuka lock for the submission win to punch her ticket to Mania. What'd you think, Benny?
Mate, I thought it was a fun match. It's actually pretty good. You automatically think there's going to be a lot of botches with, an elimination chamber, as well as so many women in the ring at once and stuff like that. I think Nikki Cross diving off the top of the pod, like the cross body, that was pretty cool. My favorite move, of course, was Liv with the sunset flip powerbomb off the top of the pod. That was crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
That was awesome. And then, of course, making Liv look strong was probably my highlight. Both those submission moves at the same time, and she just didn't tap. She just passed out and referee stoppage, essentially.
I think they tried to have her put a smile on her face too, but it was just kind of hard to see.
Well, there was another one where she was up against the cage, like up against, her head was hanging outside the chamber and she was just getting choked and she was still sort of smiling. So that was interesting. I gave it a 2 count overall. I almost went up to a 2.5, but I gave it a 2 count for myself.
Wow, okay. I didn't think as much of it. I gave it a 1.5.
Okay.
I thought it did everything it needed to. The expected winner was maybe a little bit disappointing, but it made sense. A few good moves, but nothing like massive coming out of it for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, do you see Asuka dethroning Belair at Mania?
Depends the build up between now and then. If they can do a good build up, yeah. If it's just boring stuff, then like even on Raw, they were all nice to each other, and then Asuka did that whole smile, and then the blue light, essentially, the mist, which what turns into the mist comes running out of her mouth, and she just goes crazy. So I mean, if they go into that Kana sort of style thing, and she does go a bit loopy and a bit crazy and a bit Asuka Kana, then let's go. Yeah, I think she can.
I think at this point, everyone wants every title to change hands at WrestleMania. So we're going to be disappointed at some point.
Yeah, we can't get them all.
We can't get them all. All right. Moving on. Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. How many spears and F5s do you want? Because that's pretty much all you get out of it.
Well, that was always going to happen, was it not?
It was always going to happen. Lashley got Lesnar in the hurt lock. Lesnar gave him a low blow to get out of it. DQ for the win. Lesnar goes nuts. F5's Lashley and the poor referee twice.
Poor ref.
I gave it.
Yeah, go.
Oh, you go.
No,
ahead,
you go.
I was going to say I gave it a half count. Barely a match. Crappy outcome. And it was just all about setting up something for Mania, I think.
Yeah. Apparently he went off script a little. He wasn't meant to give the ref the second F5 through the table, which I've heard. But that's just Brock, I guess. I gave it a 1 count, but it probably should have got less. I almost took the extra half count off because of the finish. Yeah. But they were 1-1. And how do you finish that match? You know what I mean? Like, it just sets up Brock going crazy. Like you said, sets up something more, hopefully. And yeah, it was disappointing, but it was entertaining watching these two big guys just smash the living hell out of each other at one stage. So yeah, but a bit lackluster.
I kind of feel like at this point, we're not going to be happy no matter what happens. I can't think of a way in which I'm leaving this feud happy.
Like some sort of last man standing match where it's just like real big move off something, like a spear off the top of something, and then Bobby just gets up, beats the 10 count or something like that, or an F5 off something huge, like really high. But they're getting old, they're not young fellas anymore, so they probably don't want to take that big bump. So
they're gonna have to do something special. Anyway, we'll find out on SmackDown as to what's going on with these three, if Wyatt makes an appearance. But let's move on. We have the mixed tag team match, Edge and Beth Phoenix against Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Some cool spots in the match. Phoenix and Ripley trying to clothesline each other, but neither going down. Ripley hitting Edge with some brass knucks and him kicking out. But it was finished with Edge and Beth hitting the Shatter Machine on Finn Balor for the win.
Shout out to the FDR boys, eh?
That's right. What'd you think, Ben?
I gave it a 1.5 count. I think it was fun. We thought it was going to lead up to Edge and Finn going at it. But with that finish, I just don't know. Like, what sort of, like, I know they've attacked him again and stuff like that, so they're still trying to pursue it. And Edge just sort of no selling the brass knucks was interesting, I thought, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Obviously, Rhea gets taken out to the side, so it doesn't affect her chances of going on to Mania and stuff like that. But it just really didn't grab me like I thought it really was going to. It was fun for what it was, but yeah, 1.5 count.
Yeah, I didn't even rate it that. I gave it a 1 count. I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan. I thought it was a little bit clunky at times. I didn't like having Rhea take the L, even though she wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Like, I think like they had a chance here to make Rhea look really credible going into Mania. But, you know, Beth Phoenix still kind of seemed like the better, the stronger wrestler at the time. And like you said, having Edge kick out of the brass knucks from Ripley makes her look a little weak as well. I thought they had a real opportunity and they missed it.
Yep, that's fair.
1 count for me. So as we saw, Balor cost Edge the US title on Raw. So it looks like we'll get those two at Mania. We've got Rhea Charlotte at Mania. And then, you know, we can also mention the Mysterios. Their match is looming as well. Rhea and Dom are going to visit SmackDown this week. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, and you think Beth's sort of got to start taking a back seat soon. She's done what she needed to do for a little bit, and then that's it.
They got the win. I don't think they need her around anymore.
Yeah.
No offense, Beth.
No.
All right.
She'd kick your ass.
Yeah, she would. She would. We move on to the men's Elimination Chamber match for the US Championship. We had things kicking off with Gargano and Rollins, followed by Theory, then Priest, then Reed, then Ford. Reed just dominated. You know,
Big boy.
Hit a huge double Samoan drop on Rollins and Gargano. But he copped a final beat from Gargano, stomp from Rollins, and a frog splash from Ford, and he was finally eliminated. Gargano did a cool spot where he reversed a powerbomb by Rollins off the top of the chamber into a Hurricane Rana, which is pretty epic.
Yeah. Even the move that he did with Bronson, like I thought that almost ended like a botch. That looked like someone was going to break their neck for a second there.
I thought he had botched. He was grabbing his head, and I was watching the replays thinking, did he actually hurt himself? He didn't, but he was eliminated not long after from a Razor's Edge by Priest. Rollins and Ford then double team Priest, got rid of him. Rollins then hit a nasty stomp on Ford, which you know, made it look like he was injured. You know, Theory got the quick pin on Ford to eliminate him. And then while Ford is being looked at by the medical personnel, who do we get? Logan Paul runs in, hits a buckshot lariat and a stomp on Rollins to set Theory up for the A-Town down and the win. I gave this one a 2 count. Obviously, look, I thought it was a great match. I probably would have given it 2.5 if not for the Paul run in. You know, I wasn't feeling it. I get they're setting up the Mania match, but we all know that's coming anyway.
Yeah, why do it there?
I don't think they really needed it. It does make you hate him even more, though. And it's about time that he took on this kind of heel persona. But yeah, 2 count for me.
Yeah. Look, I gave it a 2.5 count. I thought there was enough big spots in it to sort of counteract the whole Logan Paul thing. Watching it live, I was sitting there going, why is it taking so long to get Ford out of the ring? I thought they haven't thrown up the X, so he isn't serious. And then, of course, we know why now. Logan Paul comes in. Just a few spots, like we already spoke about a couple of them, but Montez Ford from the top.
Oh, yes.
That was crazy.
His little Spider-Man.
Yeah, just hanging upside down and then just falls on a lot of them. I thought they made Ford look really good in this. Like he looks like a bona fide superstar going forward, which we did say going in last week. We wanted to see how good he'd look in the match, and I think he looked amazing. Bronson looked very strong, like you mentioned, that double Samoan drop.
I thought it made Bronson look incredible.
Yeah,
I think everyone had forgotten how much of a beast he is, and he hasn't really been given that opportunity yet to shine with all those kind of top-notch superstars. And I think for me, he really shone.
Yeah. I think it was good as well that they were giving the US title a bit of prestige as well, in a sense, to make that the main thing for the Elimination Chamber, essentially. Like even the women's match was only for a title shot.
Yeah.
So that was the main event of Elimination Chamber, besides the main event, of course. But I think it did what it did for me, except for that little Logan Paul thing. But as you said, he's got more heat now. Everyone hates him more. And it just elevates that sort of match a little bit more. And yeah, I gave it a 2.5.
Nice. Well, yeah, as for what's next, the match we never asked for, Rollins and Paul. By the time Mania comes around, I think we're going to want to see Paul suffer.
Yeah.
Rumors still Theory and Cena, and he's still got no clear opponent. So I think it's getting closer to happening, though. Cena's in Melbourne right now.
He is, yeah, but he's going to be on Raw in 2 weeks. So
that's right. So I think we can kind of see that one coming.
Yeah.
All right, we move on to the main event, the undisputed
Woo!
WWE Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn. Now, explaining everything that happened in this match would take a whole pod. What a freaking match. I'm going to attempt to do my best to get through what happened. The crowd was red hot. And, they made us believe. I feel like, part of Sami, part of how they booked it, part of the crowd, we believed it could happen.
100%.
Our minds kind of said no, but the heart after that crowd was so red hot, made us believe.
I love the Sami Zania chants.
Sami Zania.
They were good. They were good.
Love it. Plenty of false finishes at the start. Zayn went for a blue thunder bomb. Reigns countered and knocked the ref over. Moments later, Zayn hits the haluva kick, for which would have been the win. Jimmy Uso then comes out, 3 super kicks and a splash. But Zayn kicks out after Roman goes for the pin. We get a new official. Zayn then kicks out of a spear, dodges a Superman punch that hits the second official. It was then when Reigns was about to decimate Sami with a chair, Jey Uso makes his way to the ring, stands in between them. Roman offers him the chair, very reminiscent of Sami at the Rumble. But when Zayn, tries to spear Roman, Roman moves. He hits Jey. Jey's knocked out. Reigns then attacks Sami over and over with the chair until one of the refs comes to. Reigns hits the spear and gets the win and just deflates the whole town of Montreal.
You could have heard a pin drop.
You could have heard a pin drop.
It was so dead.
Jimmy and Reigns, they continue the assault on Sami after the match. KO then hits the ring, clears house, stunners all around, puts Jimmy through the announce table. And as KO was about to attack Reigns, he moves out of the way so Sami can hit a final haluva kick and leave the crowd a little happy.
Got that last little bit of, something.
That's right.
What a match. Just brilliant from start to finish. Just the psychology of it. Roman was such a good heel. Just when he's looking straight down the barrel of the camera and just giving it, I just wanted us to get along. I just wanted you and me to do it together. He said it with such compassion, you know what I mean? And you're believing everything Roman's saying.
There was such great stuff from Reigns when he's looking over at Sami's wife and blowing kisses.
Yeah.
Or when he was saying this is his fault as he's beating him right next to Sami's wife.
Yeah, that was good. It was
so good.
And then I think they sort of missed a little bit of a beat with the Jey stuff. Obviously Reigns actually, once he took the chair back off him, started pushing Jey in the face and stuff like that, possibly setting up a little, a bit more stuff between main event Jey and Roman. And then, of course, Jey went down outside the ring. That's when Jimmy came back in and whatever else. But just overall psychology and just what they did in the match, even just the wrestling part of it was good. You know what I mean? But as a whole, mate, I wanted to give it 3. I really did. But I gave it 2 3/4.
I was exactly the same. 2 3/4 for me.
Yeah.
If it were a different result, it would have been
it would have been a 4 count.
It would have been a 4 count. And also lost a little bit for not seeing more from Jey. I think we wanted
that's what I mean. They made it. They just missed a beat there with Jey.
And maybe it's a bit of a swerve. We all thought we were going to see Jey, turn on Sami and go back to the bloodline, but we just didn't. Maybe there's that little swerve in it. But yeah, it was so close to a 3. Incredible match. Yeah, such said, such great storytelling.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm really hoping they swerve us with this Sami and KO versus the Usos thing. KO came out on Raw and basically said, "Look, I'm still done with you.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with you,
why don't you go ask your friend Jey?"
Yeah, that was good. If you really need help to take down the bloodline, and everyone thought he was going to say, "I'll still do that," and he goes, "Why don't you go ask your friend Jey?" I was like, "Oh, that was good. That was really good."
So it looks like that's where we're heading. I hope we get a Sami main event at Mania, but
still praying for that dollar bill, y'all.
That's right, Sami Zania, come on. All right. We move on from Sami Zayn, one of the great Canadian professional wrestlers, to our 3 count draft, drafting the best Canadian wrestlers. Benny, you have the first pick. Are you going to swerve me on this one?
I thought about it, but just in case, if you're going to, would you take him as your first pick?
Just to spite you, I would.
Yeah, I know you would, so I can't do it. I've got to take the greatest, Brett.
You know Shawn Michaels isn't Canadian, right?
Brett the Hitman Hart, baby. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Bret Hart, number one pick.
This is a tough one for you, though. There's quite a
this is tough. I think there's probably 4 here I could go with.
I've got 5, but yeah.
I'm going to go with the GOAT, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, he was my number 2 as well.
Just looking at everything he's done in the business, and he's still going.
Yeah. And he just keeps reinventing himself. So.
He does. So yeah, Chris Jericho, my number 1 pick.
See, I was hoping you didn't. I was hoping you were going to take someone else so that I could take Jericho. So now you've put me in a really tough position. I don't know who to take. I'm not the biggest. I used to be a big fan of this guy. But I went off him. The other guy I'm not a big fan of, but I'm going to go with the rated R superstar Edge.
Edge was my next pick as well.
Yeah.
Good job there. Okay. Now I'm torn. I could go old school. I could go new school.
You really could.
And I think I'm going to go new school with this. We're talking about the best professional wrestlers. I think this guy is one of the best professional wrestlers of all time. Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that's the other guy I was tossing.
And I'm going to take him with Don Callis, who is also Canadian.
Okay, I'll let it happen. He is amazing to watch. So I don't blame you.
5-star matches that guy's put on,
See, this is where it gets hard now. I'm tossing up between 2 old school guys, 2 really old school guys, and 1 new school guy who I think I can get a bit later. There's this guy, I think one of the greatest heels of all time. I'm going to go with Roddy Rowdy Piper.
Roddy Piper, good pick. It doesn't scream Canadian.
No, it doesn't.
Think of Roddy Piper, but yes, a Canadian-born Roddy Piper. All right. Well, that leaves me. There's a couple of ways I could go here. I'm going to do it. This might hurt you, but I'm going to take Owen Hart.
No, that's all right.
Look, obviously Owen Hart could be a lot further up this list if he had lived longer. R.I.P. Owen, but just, from the matches he put on, I think he was a better wrestler than his brother, personally. Well, he won at WrestleMania. But, the reverence that all the guys in the back had for him, classic ribs, which, the stories live on. But yeah, Owen Hart, my 3rd pick.
Nice.
I've got to have a Hart in my Canadian draft.
Well, you could have taken I don't know, Bruce.
Bruce Hart.
Yeah.
John Hart.
Yeah, there's 50,000 of them. So
I could take Stu. I might take Stu later. You never know.
Hey, he's you never know. I might not give you the chance. Now, so what are we up to? 4th pick. All right, 4th pick. I'm going to take the inventor of the Royal Rumble. I'm going to take Pat Patterson.
Nice pick. He was in my list here. Pat Patterson.
Obviously, never got to see him wrestle or anything like that. Only old tapes, but just his legacy of what he's done for wrestling, essentially, and stuff like that, and what he's left behind and everything like that. Just a brilliant man. Everybody that talks about him says how much of an amazing influence he was. One of the biggest influences on The Rock, that kind of stuff. So
yeah. You can learn a lot about Pat Patterson watching Young Rock.
You really can.
He's heavily involved in it. And yeah, Pat Patterson, great pick there. Here's where it gets really murky.
If you could be serious for a minute.
I don't know if he quite makes the top 5, but you never know. Throwing up now between 2. I'm going to take Trish Stratus.
Yeah, nice.
One of the greatest female competitors of all time. Worked her way through that, not so great divas era where,
The bra and panty matches.
Bra and panties matches. She was forced to bark like a dog by Vince.
Kiss Vince's ass.
Vince's ass. She was Vince's like little plaything for a while. And to what she ended up becoming, one of the great wrestlers. And, she was really good. Then she retired and she came back and she took on Charlotte in one of those SummerSlams. And it's just an incredible match.
Yeah, which you really didn't think it would be. But
no, you thought there'd be a lot of rust there, but it was a great match. So Trish Stratus for me, 100% stratified in my pick there.
See, I don't know whether to take a couple of old school guys or a couple of the new school guys, but we can save them. I'm going to go Ivan Koloff. Now, everybody thought he was Russian, obviously, but he was one of the evilest men growing up, around the Hulk Hogan era, the late 80s. Just everybody thought he was just an evil, bad Russian man, but turns out he's Canadian.
There's, we'll get to it in a bit, but there's a few people who we found out were Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
We did not know. All right. It's like there's one name sitting there which neither of us wants to take.
Yeah, look, he who shall not be named.
Yeah, Voldemort.
We're not affiliated with anybody, unless if you want to sponsor us, guys. But I mean, you can say it. If you want to say it, you can say it.
But you know what?
Like Kurt Angle came out this week and said, I'm not going to erase him from my life, because if I erase him, then half of my career will be erased, because I had some of the most amazing matches ever with him. So Kurt Angle said it this week. So I mean, you're allowed to say it. I'm not going to say his name.
You've sold me. You've sold me. You're right. Yeah, he can't be erased. And one of the greatest performers in his time, Chris Benoit.
Yeah, right. I'm out. See you later, guys. No,
I'm taking Chris Benoit with my 5th pick.
That's all we need to talk about. It's a great pick. He was amazing. If you go back and watch some of his stuff and that.
Absolutely. Obviously, sad outcome, but
terrible. We don't condone any of that kind of stuff.
As a wrestler, he was incredible, and you're right. Like some of the stuff he did with Kurt Angle, with Jericho, even before he got to WWE and WCW, just really good. Maybe not, the most charismatic guy going around,
but he had that going for him. That was his stick. You know what I mean?
And neither was Bret Hart. So,
do you want to stab me anymore, mate?
All right, where do we go from? Let's have a look at some of our honorable mentions. So let's
just go one for one.
Okay, you go first.
Oh well, you got, Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens. I was tossing up that last pick between Benoit, Owens, and Christian.
Captain Charisma.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn, obviously, after such a great performance.
You're up.
I did have Lance Storm, not too far off.
So did I.
He was the the captain of Team Canada. So
there you go.
Yeah, hard to go past Lance Storm. If I could be serious for a minute.
Here's one for you. The model, Rick Martel.
I love the model.
Yeah.
The model was great. Glorious, Bobby Roode.
Oh yeah. Natalia, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'll take her with Tyson Kidd.
Okay, you take the I'll take another part of their family, Stu Hart.
Yeah, fair. Killer Kowalski.
Yeah, I had him down as well.
Yeah.
And now for the rest of mine, they're kind of
go for it.
More they were interesting that they were Canadian. I didn't know Jinder Mahal was Canadian.
No, and then the big one we talked about today.
Rocky Johnson.
The Rock's dad is Canadian. Shout out Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, part Canadian.
There you go. No wonder he went so well in the CFL. Sorry, Rock.
And then, Italian wonder kid, Santino Marella.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah. Couple of quick ones from me. Dino Bravo, Val Venus, Tyler Breeze, and then Luna Vachon. Now, I don't know if you remember that WrestleMania, but she came out with HBK. No, Sherry came out. Sorry. No, she came out. Yeah, that's right. Luna Vachon. She was crazy, man. She was crazy.
And her dad, Mad Dog.
Yeah, Mad Dog Vachon, yeah. Abdullah the Butcher. And then I had Jinder Mahal as well. So quite a few there.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
A lot of Canadians.
My list is long, and I reckon I had about 20 written down before I went online and had a look. So,
all right. Well, let's take us through it. Benny has Bret Hart, Edge, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Pat Patterson, and Ivan Koloff. And I have Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega with Don Callis, Owen Hart, Trish Stratus, and Chris Benoit.
Nice. Yeah.
Very solid draft there.
Fun. I like that one. That one was good.
All right. Shout out to all the Canadians out there. But that is it for the show this week. We're going to be back next week to preview AEW Revolution. Ooh. It's not far off. And of course, we'll have another fun 3-count draft. Thank you for joining us, Benny.
Thanks, mate. Always a pleasure, Dylan. See you next week.
And we'll see you all next time on the 3-Count Podcast.